What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode 214 of the Creativ Rise Podcast. Today, we're talking about pitching and a lot of the most common questions that we get asked when we hear about pitching, which is a massive topic. It's probably one of the more complicated things that creatives have to do. It's one of the more
So I think people get
mysterious, like how do we do it? What's the right answer here and there? I've gotten super stuck on pitching. You've gotten super stuck on pitching.
Absolutely.
I've had lots of pitches that have done really, really well and gotten my business a lot of business, and so have you. And so we're going to be sharing today some of the transitions we've made in our own head when it comes to pitching strategy, and then sharing really some of the 10 biggest questions that we get asked all the time, breaking down those questions and giving you guys answers so you can actually implement that into your own pitching strategy so that you can send more pitches, better quality pitches, and obviously land more deals because you're pitching more often, which is the goal. So if you're new here, welcome back. My name is Joey.
And I'm Christy.
And we are the founders of Creativ Rise. Started this podcast back in 2020, and Creativ Rise started back in 2019 with one goal, one singular goal, to help you get paid to do what you love as a creative. And how do you get paid to do what you love is you focus on learning actual business strategy. So everything we talk here at Creativ Rise is all about business strategy, how you can learn it, implement it, and really use it to grow in your own business. So each week we drop an episode, and if you're new, welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Yeah.
Chris, do you have a wedding background?
I do. I was like, wait, what? I have a what?
You got a dog and those other things you could use.
Yes, I was
A dog, a husband, a house.
exactly. I was a
Set
full-time.
that up very well.
I was a full-time destination wedding photographer for years and absolutely loved it. Got to travel the world, shot weddings in like Jamaica, St. Lucia, France, like all these amazing places, and was constantly on a plane doing it. And so that was awesome. I started incorporating brands while I was a wedding photographer. So if you're someone listening and you're going, pitching, is this really for me? I'm in the wedding space, I'm in the portrait space. What does that look like? You can utilize this pitch, all these pitching details and information in your wedding business, but you can also use it to incorporate some brands in your business, maybe during your off season, or if you're just wanting to dip your toes in some commercial stuff. That's what I did. Ended up falling in love with commercial work, and now have gone mostly full-time into the commercial space, although I am bringing some couples back right now, which is so much fun. But pitching is for both weddings and brands. These principles will help you so much in growing your business in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, and then my background with pitching and running a business is I started a content agency doing photo and video when I was 14. So started really young, and I made a lot of mistakes because when you're a young teenager and you're really new to running a business, your pitches look like this. Hi, my name is Joey. I really like your products. I'm a photographer. We should work together. And you send out so many of those,
Let
and
me
I sit there going, yeah, why am I not getting any responses, So I've learned a lot about pitching over the last decade plus of running a creative business, and we're excited to share with you guys some of that stuff today.
And we've also, if you're thinking like, okay, well, that worked for your two businesses, like, will this work for me? We've coached hundreds of creatives through this process, all different types of creatives in different areas of the world. And this stuff works, you guys. We've got actually 3 quick stories we want to give you of how this pitching stuff works and what it has done for different people's businesses that have gone through some of our programs, all that kind of stuff. One is Dagan. Shout out Dagan, all the way in Australia. Unbelievable photographer.
Great photographer.
We met Dagan and he was like, I really want to start working with like big outdoors brands. Like working with some smaller stuff, I would love to work with big outdoors brands. My number one client that I want to work with is Arc'teryx, the outdoor brand. And I remember he came through, did our mastermind, our 6-week Creativ Rise mastermind. And now he's actually in our grad community program. And last week, it was so fun. He sent us a message and he's like, I remember I put Arc'teryx as in my top 10 brands I wanted to work with right before I came into the mastermind. And he's like, so cool. Since then, I've worked with them 4 times for 4-figure deals. And I just like can't even believe it. Like, this is so cool. And then we also have Owen Rossi.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Owen's awesome. Shout out to you, Owen. Owen runs a content agency called Native Release up in Montana. And Owen, when he first joined the mastermind, had a lot of one-off deals, but he was wanting to start getting more retainers. And so he had to formulate. We worked with him to formulate in the mastermind not only shifting his pitches, but also shifting his pitches to be more resemblant of a retainer style deal, to which he then went on to make 90, what was it, 90?
He made almost $100,000.
Yeah, it was like $99,000 in just the 6-week mastermind that we ran. And why is that possible? Well, he had a big, like $40-something thousand deal that he pitched, and it worked, and he got it, and then he got a bunch of retainers on, which is huge for cash flow, right? So anyways, he's gone on to build a multiple six-figure business since that time. And he's doing a great job pitching. And so some of the things we're going to be talking about today are things that we talked with Owen about, and that Owen has mastered and does really well.
Yeah, and Gabriella is in the wedding space. She also went through the Mastermind. She's in our grad program in the wedding space. Unbelievable wedding photographer, but she wants to start dipping her toes. It's so fun. Just a great person. She wants to start dipping her toes in commercial work. And she was like, I'll actually just read you this little screenshot of like our win section in the grad community we have. She goes, hey, quick win. The Trial Lawyer Association I pitched yesterday with the investment guide I created yesterday is already interested in moving forward with a $6,000 headliner film, which is so cool. So with that, shout out to Gabriella, but also a shout out to taking fast action. So as you go through this podcast, as you listen to these things, I want you to take this information and go, I'm going to take it and act on it today, this week. I'm not going to like take this information, just sit forever and constantly think about how I'm going to pitch and then months go by, you don't do anything. Want you to start working on this stuff right now.
Yeah. So real quick, who should be using what we're going to be talking about today? As Christy said, this is for obviously brand people in the brand space, but it's also applicable to you if you're in the wedding space. A couple reasons. Christy said you can start supplementing your wedding income in the off season by obviously working with brands. So if you're a wedding photographer, this is really helpful to learn how to start working with brands. But what we're going to be talking about today is also really helpful for pitching things in the wedding industry. You actually got your start working with brands by working with wedding-based brands, working with Beholden and some other dress companies, which that's a brand photo shoot. It just so happens to be a wedding dress, and you were in the wedding space. So whether you want to start working with wedding brands or you want to start pitching like venues to try and get on their preferred vendor list and you know, different vendors that are in your industry to create connections with and potentially certain types of like business deals or referral deals, what you're going to be learning today about pitching is really helpful. So whether you're in the wedding space or you're in the brand space, this episode is going to be great for you. So anyone who is looking to fill their calendars with more work, pitching is for you. We meet a lot of creatives who say, well, I know I should be pitching, but like I want to do everything else to potentially get work before I do pitching, because pitching is super nerve-wracking. It's scary. And so I'm going to do all the other things. And what happens is their businesses typically stay small because pitching is how you get yourself out there. It's how you add more work to your calendar when you've got open space, right? Which is important.
Yeah. So you might be wondering, hey, what do I say in a pitch? Where do I do it? How do I send it? What should I say? We're going to talk about all of that right now, and it's going to be hopefully make your life of pitching so much easier.
Yeah, so we want to answer some of the top questions again that we get asked all the time, whether it's through the podcast, people asking us questions in the DMs, whether it's meeting some of you guys in person, whether it's anybody that comes to our 6-week mastermind, whether it's people in the grad community, like constantly we are hearing the same questions about pitching, and we're going to list kind of the top 10, some of the most common ones today, give you guys good answers for those, and hopefully you can apply them to your business, as Christy said, move on forward into 2025 and actually start landing more deals. So first question number one.
What's more important, spending loads of time on the highest quality pitch or spending all my time getting as many pitches out as possible? AKA the question of volume or quality.
Yeah.
What do you think, Joe?
Well, I've actually gone back and forth. To be dead honest, I flipped back and forth on this throughout my career, decade plus of pitching. In the beginning, I would have said that my style was very volume heavy, and it was a horrible email. It was, hey, my name is Joey. I'm a photographer. I like your products. We should work together. Send. And I would just copy and paste.
Yeah.
And I now know that that's not super efficient. So I used to do volume, and I think I kind of rebounded from that not working and started getting really invested in like high quality pitches with a lot of detail, a lot of design, a lot of thought going into them. The problem was it would take me 3 or 4 days to work on these pitches and then send them off. And the bigger problem is when you do that, you still don't really squeak yourself out of the standardized pitching numbers, which is if you pitch 10, you're probably going to hear back from 3 or maybe 4, and you might land 1 or 2 deals. And so I realized my results weren't really changing. I still wasn't really landing any deals. And what I realized is that pitching is such a volume game, but you're pitching. You should be using volume not only to get mass pitches out, getting a ton of pitches out, but also your volume should actually tell you how to make your pitches better. Mm-hmm. So as you really try and work with volume, you should be getting data on, hey, all these brands did not respond. There must have been something in there that I should tweak. oh, I just sent out another email to another batch of 40 brands and I got a better response rate there. So it wasn't amazing, but I got a better response rate. What else can I tweak? And what do I think I did in that last email that made this one have a better outcome? So volume should actually inform quality. So my answer is the pitching game is a numbers game. It's about how many pitches can you get out, how many connections can you make, but your pitches can't suck. And so it's important to not sacrifice any type of content in your pitch that would actually create curiosity in a brand manager or someone who's on the other side of that email. You can't sacrifice there being an actual like substance to the pitch for volume, but if you go all volume if you go all quality and all substance, but you don't have volume, you won't get enough pitches out to actually make business.
Not enough
So
hooks in
my
the water.
answer is volume should be your priority, but volume over time should lead you to better quality pitches because you're getting to see the data and the responses. And because of that, you can inform yourself on how to make higher quality pitches while also keeping your volume up, which is important. Now, what is volume? Real quick before we move on. A couple of people that we just mentioned there, Owen, that we just talked about. Owen's volume is insane. Shout out Ryan and Chanel Whitaker. Their volume is insane. There's so many people that have crazy volume in pitches. And these just so happen to be people whose businesses are doing really well that have been through the 6-week Creativ Rise Mastermind. But they're pitching like 15 to 40 brands a week, which for a lot of people, that sounds completely unattainable. They're like, I can't even get 2 pitches off a week. So the question that you need to ask yourself, if that's you saying that, is what about your process is stopping you and adding too much friction where you can't have volume? Because volume is super important. So
Yeah. I'll also say with the volume and quality question is that it also depends on the type of quality that you're offering and the amount of effort you're putting to make that connection. So if you're like, okay, I actually don't want to do I don't have time to do maybe like 40 pitches a week. Okay, well then you should get ready to go walk into their store point blank and pitch yourself in person, right? Or you maybe like write them a handcrafted note and like you also send an email and you also do all of these things to create like a very high touch point. So if you're going to go, I'm not really a volume person right now in this stage of life and I can't make that work, you got to make sure the quality is so there for what you're doing and that the touch point is super high. So that's what I would say about that.
yeah. Okay. Question number 2 is you just kind of touched on like handwritten notes or emails or walking the store. The question is, how do we pitch as creatives? What is the best way to pitch? And what's that look like? Like what format should it be? What platform should it be?
Yeah, so I think one of the number one mistakes I see and that I have made before is only pitching in one way. You only send one email, right? That's the one thing you do, or you send one DM, or maybe you like text a number, whatever it is. You're only reaching out in one way. And the problem with that is, specifically with email, is a lot of times it just ends up in junk. Like they actually never see the email in the first place. This goes for both weddings and brands. If you're only responding to your inquiries with one email, chances are they may not see it. There's like a pretty high likelihood it ends up in junk or spam. So I like to say, do a double hit. So hit them with an email, but then also hit them with a DM, or also call, or also show up in person, or send them a handwritten note. Make sure you're reaching out to people in 2 ways at the very, very start. That not only helps with, hey, if it goes to junk or something like that, or ends up in their DM request folder for too long and they never see it, it helps with that totally, but it also shows that you're actually like after them, that you're like a real person who cares about their brand and it's not just another copy and paste email. Even if you did copy and paste some sort of template and use that, it gives it so much. So with the email is you're going to have your, if you want to go for like a full crafted, awesome pitch that's kind of longer, put that long form in email. Don't just copy and paste that and send it in the DM and it's like 4 pages long of a DM. Do like a little shortened version saying like, hey, my name's Christy. Would be like, love to work with your company. I love this, and kind of give like a little mini excerpt on maybe your idea that you're wanting to shoot or whatever it is. Send a little mini version in a DM and say, hey, but I just sent you an email. Check that out. Let me know if you don't see it. Just something like that. Or you can send them a video. If you want to go the next step up, send them an email and then shoot them a video of yourself on Instagram, like talking to them, literally telling, hey, I just shot you an email. That's so personable. And it also really increases their likelihood of actually responding to you.
We love those video DMs. Like, hey, I just shot you an email. Would love for you to check it out. Thank you in advance for just taking like 2 minutes to check it out. I really hope it's going to be worth your time. Anyways, my name is Joey. Super excited to connect. Send that off, right? So,
absolutely.
Question number 3.
Question number 3. What should I pitch? I don't even know what to say. Do I just tell them my skill set or should I pitch something specific?
So this is a huge question and a question that I did wrong for a long time. I would pitch them my skill set, or I would actually pitch them myself and my skill set. So it's like, again, hey, my name is Joey. I'm a photographer. I think I'm really good at shooting photos that would align with your brand. We should work together. The problem with pitching your skill set is that everyone should have your skill set. If I'm a brand, you guys are all pitching me, I'm going to assume if you're pitching me as a photographer, you've got a skill set. Now, it's important for brands to get to choose whose skill set do we think aligns the most. So it's not that your skill set doesn't mean anything, but the best part about a good pitch is actually by pitching a really good idea, an idea that is going to add value or add leverage to something that this brand is working on in order to create some type of outcome that they want. It's probably more money, right? Because that's why the brand is in business. So if you can pitch an idea that is unique to them, you can pitch an idea that's unique to them and clearly touches on something that you are going to be able to mutually say with them, yeah, we are having that problem. If you can pitch an idea that touches on that, and then you can kind of pitch yourself as the insert in that. So, hey, this idea is really cool. I really think you guys should consider it. And here's why I should be the person qualified to do this idea for you. Maybe that's some type of piece of portfolio work you want to back your idea up with to prove you have the skill set to do it, but you never lead with your skill set. You should always be pitching some type of a captivating idea that can help them achieve whatever outcome they're looking for. And it's probably growing their brand online, more followers, converting those followers better, so turning those followers into dollars. So you need to be pitching something to do that, and just overall growing their revenue. If you can pitch on some one of those three things, you're going to have way better success than just pitching, hey, here's me, I live in this area, here's my skill set. Please, 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 please don't pitch and tell somebody what you shoot on, what type of lenses you have.
We have all made
Christy's laughing at that because her About Me page on her website, like 8 years ago, used to say, here's the cameras and lenses.
No, it was worse. It was literally how I would respond via email to inquiries.
Yeah, but it was also on your About page.
Yes, it was on my About page, but it was also in the response email.
Hey, Christy, can you shoot our wedding? And she'd be like, absolutely. I shoot on a Canon
"Here's what I
5D
shoot
Mark
on.
III.
This means nothing to you.
Yeah. So don't do that, right? Your skill set is important, but it is secondary at best to a great idea that's actually going to help them solve a problem or create a new opportunity in their business. So that's really important.
Oh, it's very important.
Question number 4, how long should a pitch be?
Okay.
How long is too long for a pitch and how short is too short?
Ooh, I actually don't know if there's too short, only because I'm like, if you can just start a conversation, the whole point of pitching is to start a conversation. The point of a pitch isn't to sell them in the first email. It's not to sell them in the first DM. It's to create interest and start the conversation. So sometimes that does look like you're actually just engaging with a brand at the very beginning by just saying, hey, I absolutely love your product. I literally just did this to a software company like 2 weeks ago. I sent them a message and was like, hey, just download your app, started using it. It's a budgeting app. Like, I absolutely love what you're doing. Here's like a couple reasons why I really love it specifically. And just wanted to say, great job. They literally DM me back and they're like, hey, like, thank you so much for this DM. What's your address? We want to send you something. Boom, we've already started this relationship that I'm like, hey, that could develop into actual paid work. And it's just like a little bit at the very beginning. So that's one thing we like to say is, utilize the 10-cent rule. And the 10-cent rule is giving your 2 cents 5 times a week, and it's asking for nothing. So there's no actual pitch involved. It's just developing a relationship. So number 1, I would say, try to start developing interest and relationship before you pitch. But when you do pitch, it can either be long or it either can be short. This is not a right or wrong. It's more of a, hey, test it out in what you're saying, and let's let like the data show us what's actually working and what's not working. So if you start sending these like long, really thought out quality pitches with a lot of information and you're not getting any responses, go ahead and start with just something really punchy and short and something that just like captures someone's attention. Like what's an example of a punchy, short little pitch that you could do maybe via DM with a brand?
So what I love to send all the time, if it's going to be really short, is I love to send DMs or emails that say, hey, I know you probably get pitched like 100 times a day, and I know I'm probably one of those 100. Please, give me like 30 seconds to prove to you why this message is going to be different, and then I will put in my idea. here's an idea I had for your brand that I haven't seen you guys do that I really think would help you guys stand out for this reason, this reason, this reason. Here's the idea. Oh, and by the way, I'd love to share more about this idea. You know, no commitment call, just like wanting to connect about the idea and get to know you guys more. Here's a link. Would love if you'd book in 15 minutes with me. I'd love to share the idea.
Yeah.
That could be less than like 2 paragraphs.
Yeah.
That's a super, super short pitch, right? I'm not going into my background and how I found the brand and
or
what
even
I
all
shoot
the
on, all that
problems and
stuff.
the solutions
Yeah,
and
it's
things
just
like
keeping
that.
it short. Hey, I love to start pitches by associating with things that I know frustrate people that have to read pitches all day, people that work in marketing or work in the brand, division of a company. And so I often start with that, and then I'll just kind of like try and hit that. Hey, I understand you get these all day. I really think this one's different. Please read on. And then a quick idea. If you have any time, would love for you to jump on a call. I'd love to just share this idea, a quick 15 minutes.
Or even if you want to go even shorter than that, you could say something that's more just like, hey, I know you probably get pitched 100 times a day. Maybe I'm number 101. I've got an idea about maybe like a backpacking trip in Patagonia, period. Do you want to hear some more information about how I can involve your brand? ? And just start and then you can even just say, just send me a thumbs up emoji if you're down for me to send you some information.
Yeah.
Like zero commitment,
Yeah.
like just a quick thumbs up. That instantly gets you in the DMs.
Yeah, totally.
So I think pitches can be long, they can be short, as long as they're well thought out, captivating, and they're actually getting their attention and building a relationship. I think you can totally go either way. I've done both, and both have succeeded for me and so many other people that I know.
100%.
All right, question number 5. What's the difference between a proposal and a pitch? Are they the same thing? Are they different? What does that mean?
Yeah, so this is a huge question that stops a lot of people from pitching. And I was super confused on this when I was in the early stages of running my business back in like 2014, 2015. And the straight answer is a pitch is how you get somebody's attention and create curiosity. A proposal is where you actually show them what it looks like to work with you. What are the deliverables for what cost? Like what are you guys giving me in terms of value, maybe probably money, and what am I giving you guys in terms of deliverables? That is a proposal. So proposal is budget, it's deliverables, it's timelines, it's scope of work, it's all those things that actually really clarify an idea for companies to say, boom, green light, we want to work with you. A pitch is just simply how you get them to the process where they're curious enough to receive a proposal from you. So one of the biggest mistakes I made really early is I would just pitch people and send them proposals. Hey, here's what my packages look like, or here's what my hourly rate looks like. We should work together. And there's no reason for them to want to work with me because there's been no curiosity developed in their heads about why working with someone like me, why working with Joey would be of value to them. So a pitch is used when you're a photographer, filmmaker, a creator of any type. A pitch is used to get someone's curiosity, to get them to the point where they want to receive a proposal from you, and then you send a separate proposal that says, here's everything outlined, all the details, deliverables, budget, timelines, all that. That is the difference between a pitch and a proposal. Really important to understand that.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, okay, question number 6, actually. How do I get a brand to pay attention to me if I'm pitching them and they're getting so many people pitching them every single day? How do you stand out with a pitch?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because especially if you're pitching in like the outdoor space or apparel or anything that has maybe like a large social following that tends to work with influencers, you're going to have a really not hard time, but there is a lot more barrier to entry to get into working with those types of brands. So you need to stand out. You can't just send the cookie cutter pitch. It's going to get in the trash. It's never going to be read. And if it's going to be read, it's just going to be responded to with like, hey, we can send you some free product and that's it. So I think there's 2 ways you can kind of combat this like high saturation market by being different. One is the way you approach them. So if everyone is just sending them emails or everyone's just sending them text DMs, send the video. Create a reel literally calling out the brand and posting it on TikTok. Like do something that's different. The way you approach them is different. Maybe you have to actually go into the store, talk to the rep, talk to the business owner, or maybe it's like, hey, I want to work with this company. You go, instead of just DMing the company's Instagram that has like 200,000 followers, I would say go find the founder and actually DM the founder themselves on their Instagram where maybe they only have like 1,000 followers. Like how can you approach them differently than what everyone's approaching them in the same way? But then also too, what's your content? How is it different? So if everyone's just saying, hey, I'm a photographer, like I'd love to take some images for you or I'd love to take some video for you, what does it actually look like to make what you're proposing to them different? Like, hey, I want to create paid advertising content for you that's specific for your paid ad library. We're going to create 5 different reels with 5 different hooks. It's going to be awesome. That way you can test it. Like, offer them something different. Or if they're only doing photo, offer them video. Like, whatever it is, try to either approach them differently or offer them something that they're not getting offered all the time.
Yeah, and I got an analogy about this. I was in Northern Ireland 2019, I think, and I remember going to this really scenic lookout spot right on the north coast of Northern Ireland, and there was a crazy trail down the coastline here, down a couple hundred feet. Really steep, really gnarly. It's Northern Ireland, really muddy because it was wet. And then there was this really old castle from who knows what, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And you could kind of explore in this castle and stuff. Now, what I noticed when I got there was the castle was incredibly cool to see and hang out in and kind of climb through. It's these old ruins of this castle. However, another like 200, 300 meters past the castle, out on this little peninsula, really gnarly, couple 100-foot, cliffs dropping on either side of you. At the end of that was this beautiful overlook where you're like standing right on the edge of the north, coast of Northern Ireland, the like Atlantic just raging underneath you. And I got there and I was like, wait a second, there's like 150 people at the castle. But I went another like 300 meters and I hung it up there with some of my friends for like an hour and a half and nobody came up there. And it taught me a lesson in that moment. I was like, wait a second, the extra mile is never crowded. I literally went like an extra like 300 meters. The castle was super cool. This is way cooler. And I'm getting an experience because so many people stopped back there and they're not coming all the way up here. So the question for you is, how does this apply to your pitching? And how this applied to me in my pitching, what it taught me about pitching in that moment was I was like, gosh, the extra mile is never crowded. Where in my pitching formulas, my pitching processes, am I doing the same thing that everybody else is doing? I'm just going up to the castle and I'm stopping, but I'm not actually going that extra mile. And when you go the extra mile, you're no longer in a crowd of 100 pitches they got that week. You're in a crowd of maybe 3 or 4 pitches that they got that week that were so interesting, or maybe done in a completely different format or done with so much more intention. The extra mile is never crowded. So when it comes to how to stand out, I think that's really, really important. Don't just go to the castle, push all the way to the end of the coast, go the extra mile with your pitching. And I think you'll be shocked at what can happen, which is really cool.
That's awesome. All right, number 7. How do I pitch in a way where it doesn't just communicate, send me free product?
Yes.
AKA you want to actually get paid for the shoot.
Yeah.
And how do you pitch in a way that informs the company that that you want to get paid and not just get free product?
Yeah, so first thing I want to say is getting a response when someone says, hey, we can send you some free product. That's actually not a bad thing. A lot of creatives hate that. They're like, oh my gosh, so offensive. They want me to work for free. What that means is that they actually see you as someone that they would potentially work with, and they're offering you some free product, and that's a foot in the door, and you can work with that. I'm not saying you always have to take the free product, but you can continue the conversation. Maybe you do take the free product. Maybe you continue the conversation in a way where you somehow leverage something or an idea that's going to convince them of that. But how you pitch in the first place, where you show them that you're not someone who's probably going to be working for free product, is not by saying, oh, by the way, I don't work for free product. Like, don't email me back. It's not something aggressive and unkind like that. All you got to do is you've got to be pitching something that's different than what they give people free product for. So if you're getting a lot of, hey, would love to work with you, here's some free product, we'd love to do it. If you're getting that response a lot, it probably means that you're pitching what everybody else is pitching that they are giving free product to in order to get the content for. So if you're tired of getting free product, you have to start asking yourself, what can I pitch that's different, that would go above and beyond what everybody else that's doing this stuff for free is doing? And if I can pitch an idea like that, that's that valuable enough, it's not going to be shocking when they think about, oh, should we send this person product? No, we probably gonna have to pay this person. Or when you say, hey, this is a paid gig, here's how much it's gonna cost, right? So the biggest answer to that is, if you want to get away from the free product game, stop doing what all the other people that are doing stuff for free are doing. If you don't want to get the free product, you got to do something better than what everybody else is doing for free product. So that's the biggest example. So if instead of being like, oh yeah, like I'll put you together a photo library of 10 images of your new jacket that just dropped. Instead of doing that, be like, hey, I want to jump on a discovery call and talk about your organic and your paid ad strategy and how it relates to this new product drop. I've already looked at your paid ads library. Here's some opportunity I think that I don't see in there when it comes to photo and video for a product like this. Here's a couple ideas that I think could be really, really great to add to your organic strategy and your paid strategy. Here's what this could look like. We should get on a call and talk about it. they're not going to respond to you and be like, oh yeah, that's a trade for product type guy. They're not going to do that. They're going to be like, wow, this is so much more valuable than who we typically just send out product for free. We want to get on a call with this person.
And a kind way to respond to about the free product thing is also like, hey, like, I really appreciate the offer for free product. Right now, we actually only have time for paying clients. So if you want to discover that further with us, we would absolutely love to talk about that. What could that look like?
Yeah.
So that's a nice way to respond rather than just being like, no, or like, you have to pay.
Yeah.
It's like a great way to respond.
Yeah, how dare you? Yeah, we always encourage
We only
people
have
in our
time.
mastermind, like, if you're going to get that response, just, hey, as Christy said, we just don't have time right now to give our attention to somebody who's not a paying client. So, well, we super appreciate that.
Yeah.
If you'd like to discover what that process would look like,
Yeah.
as Christy said, here's the next steps. Would love to do that with you.
Yeah.
So-
Or if you want to take the free product, but you're like, how do I not look like I'm just selling myself out? You can give a dumbed down version of the package. So scale down the package. Be like, if you offered them 15 images and they're like, hey, here's free product, you can go, great, I'll give you 3 images, right? Like just something really micro and be like, hey, it's like a one-time thing. Would love to do this for you guys to develop a relationship, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That can be a great way to get foot in the door.
Yeah, love it. Okay, question number 8. How can I optimize to actually send a higher volume of pitches?
Ooh.
If you are someone who's stuck in the quality game where you're like, I really want to make sure these pitches are good quality, how do you optimize that? How do we optimize our pitches?
Yeah. So one, I would say developing some sort of template for yourself. So we sell a template at Creativ Rise. We've got the outreach template pitching course. It's got a ton of information. It's literally got a template built out for you along with follow-ups that you can actually just copy and paste and build and customize yourself. So you could use that, or if you've already got a template that you're going to kind of adjust based on what we talked about, that's awesome too. I would say have yourself a little template that you've got that you can just like copy and paste and customize. Make sure you're customizing and make sure the front end is really customized so that it doesn't just look like a copy and paste email. So having a template is a really great way to do it. Making sure you've got some sort of spreadsheet or something like that where you're listing out all of the clients that you want to reach out to, whether or not you're 10 centing them and you're keeping track of that as well. But then also who you've pitched and then also how many times you've followed up. Keep that on a spreadsheet so that you keep track of that. You don't have to like constantly dig through your DMs, dig through your sent messages, all that kind of stuff. I'd also say this is kind of in relation to this, but making sure that you're automating as much as possible. So have a Calendly link in there for them to be able to book a call rather than saying like, hey, do you want to meet next Tuesday at 2 p.m.? ? If not, let me know a different time that works for you. And then you have to go back and forth 4 times to find a time that actually works for you guys. Just put in a Calendly link, embed that in the email. That way they can just select and book, and that'll just streamline your process and save you a ton of time. Do you need anything else about optimizing that you want to mention?
That's great.
Okay, awesome.
That's great.
All right, number 9, what's a good call to action for a pitch?
Yeah, so the best call to actions for pitch is basically anything that's not
Let me know.
Let me know. Like if you think
Let
if
me
you
know
think,
is a swear word.
If
in
you
our
think
book.
my work is good, get back to me. Like you do not want any language like that in a pitch. When you pitch somebody, the end of an email, you need to be convinced yourself that you are of value to that brand. So you need to treat yourself that way by communicating to them that way, right? So the CTA is like, hey, I know this is going to be a point of opportunity for you guys. Really looking forward to chatting. Here's where you can book in a link. Here's the link where you can book in a call. Or, if I don't hear from you by next Friday, I'm going to be following up again on next Tuesday. Super excited to chat. Like, CTA should be something that are
Can conversation continue?
Yeah, and they should be confident. They should be confident CTAs. They shouldn't be super assertive where it comes off obnoxious, but you can't play the other side where it's like, let me know if you think this is a good idea. If you have to have them let you know, it shows that you're not even convinced it's a good idea. So it's important you get rid of all language that second guesses that what you're doing is of value. So make sure your CTA is assertive but not obnoxious, and it is very, very confident backing, which is important. But your CTA should always be like, let's get on a call, or can't wait to hear back from you. If I don't hear back from you, I will be following up on X date, so that they know there's a timeline on when you're going to be hearing from, when they're going to be hearing from you again. And so that often pushes people to actually want to respond, which is really cool. It should not just be, let me know.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. Don't do that. I've made that mistake a lot. Don't be like me. Don't do that. Last question. Really simple, but how often should you actually follow up?
Ooh, this is a great
This is a really big question. And how many creatives follow up? We don't hate on this.
I feel like What is the data?
Well, the data, I know the data that 75% of business deals in the creative space in the US come from follow-ups, which is very important.
Absolutely.
How many of you guys follow up? Well, the thousands and thousands of people that are going to be listening to this podcast over the length of its time, I'm assuming that 95% of you guys do not do more than at least at most, one follow-up when it comes to your pitching. And most of you wouldn't even ever follow up. And I know that because I didn't do it for the longest time either. And so follow-ups are super important.
Deals are made in the follow-ups. So I want you guys to not feel like follow-ups are annoying. I want you to think of them as you're being faithful. You're trying to help them solve a problem. You're trying to give them a solution, and you're trying to give them a great experience. So following up is actually an act of love. It's an act of bumping things to the top. So sometimes when people don't get responses to emails or initial pitches, it's, oh my gosh, they read it and they hate me and they're trying to ghost me. I want you to flip the script a little bit out of that like negative self-talk and go, oh, maybe they read the email. They're super interested, but they got super busy. They got called into a meeting. It got bumped down in the email box. They put it on their to-do list, and it's on a long to-do list, and they just haven't gotten back to it. So I want you to think of it in that way first. So change the mental space you're in when you're actually going into a follow-up, and then follow up quickly after you send your first pitch. A lot of people wait like a month, or they'll wait like 2 weeks, and then they'll wait to follow up, and it's too long. So go ahead and just send a follow-up couple days after, just saying, hey, wanted to bump this to the top of your email. Maybe do like a quick little synopsis about what you talked about in your email and say, hey, again, put a little CTA in there like Joey talked about. So just something that's not super aggressive. It's not like, hey, why didn't you respond? It's just a, hey, no, you're probably super busy. Wanted to bump this to the top of your email. Would love to chat. If they don't respond to that, maybe a few days later or 5 days later or whatever it is, send them another pitch that's like, a little bit tweaked, a little bit different.
Different idea.
Hey, here's a different idea for you. Wondering if you're interested in something like this. Change it up, give them a different idea, and that's a great way to follow up. That strategy of like follow up to bump it to the top, offer a different idea. Then repeat the process over and over and over again until they eventually tell you no. Or yes, which 100%. Is hopefully what is going to happen.
Yeah. So guys, that's 10 pitching questions that hopefully have given you a lot of context on what we are seeing working in pitches in our own businesses and at a lot of the businesses that we get to help out through the Creativ Rise Mastermind and the greater Creativ Rise community. So if this was just helpful for you and you're going, man, I love the conversation of pitching. I don't hear a lot of conversations that include me about pitching. It's not something that creatives often talk about pretty openly. Well, we talk about it really openly, obviously on the podcast, but super openly, really lift the hood on it inside of the 6-week Creativ Rise Mastermind, which is coming up in March, starts March 16th, which is awesome. Round 13. There's been 350 grads that have gone through this over the last 5 years, and it is entirely designed to help you build in just 6 weeks a 6-figure business foundation for your business. So the whole goal of it is to give you the foundation for you to go on to build your own 6-figure business as a solopreneur, working as a photographer, as a filmmaker, as a content agency owner, as a social media strategist or social media manager, a designer, a web designer, whatever you might be in the creative service-based space. If I just listed you and you're one of those people and you're wanting to learn more about business this year so you can actually grow your business, this might be a really good opportunity for you. So round 13 is coming up. We only take 30 to 35 spots every time to keep it intimate because we will actually help hand shape your pitches. Exactly what we talked about right on this podcast. We will be in the dirt with you, shaping this with you. We talked about Owen. The first thing we did, I talked about Owen earlier on this podcast. The first thing we did with Owen when he first joined the mastermind, I said, dude, pull up all of your pitching templates. And we went and audited all of them. And he changed them all. And he made $99,000 cash collected in the 6 weeks, which is crazy. And that is not a normal result. Most people make about $11,000, which is a 3 to 4x return on their money in the first 6 weeks, which is pretty crazy. Owen did a lot of hard work, had a lot of systems set up, and really, really grinded. So we do see a lot of people getting results like that as well. But we're super excited.
The long-term result is that you would build a thriving 6-figure business.
A stable 6-figure business.
A sustainable one, something that doesn't burn you out, something that doesn't happen where you have one high month and then the next 3 months you're like, where's all my money? This is to build sustainable businesses for people that are serious about this, not just being a hobby, but something that they want to make their livelihood off of. We also have a lot of people who are already making 6 figures that come into this mastermind, whether in the wedding space, the brand space, what have you, and they come in and they absolutely crush it. They grow their revenue to multiple 6 figures, or they figure out how to do it in a more sustainable way. They want that community, that accountability. So if you're someone that's like, I want to go all in for 6 weeks, we would love to take you there. We have our hands in the 6-week Creativ Rise Mastermind the entire time. This is something where we have video modules that you go through at your own time. So if you're busy, you get to go through it at your own time. But we have also live group calls every single week where Joey and I hop on with the entire community, all 30 to 35 of you, answer questions, talk about what we're going through that week, wins, losses. You can ask any question on those calls, and they're so good. Those happen every Thursday. We also have like an Instagram group chat that fires off every single day of the 6 weeks. That's really fun to be able to, again, share wins, ask questions, all that good stuff. We have an app that you can ask questions on as well to store some like longer term pitches. Like Joey and I will go in and audit your pitches, your proposals, things like that, your website, whatever it is, we will audit it during the 6 weeks, which is incredible to optimize your business and to increase the amount of input you have. We also do accountability pods. There's a whole ton of stuff in this mastermind. It's for people that are serious about growing their business. So if that is you want to jump on the wait list. Applications open March 2nd to the public. But if you get on the wait list, you get early access to the application. We end up filling up most of the spots with the wait list. So you want to get on the wait list. You'll also get 3 bonus courses if you're on the wait list and you get accepted, which is incredible. And you actually get a bonus course if you join the wait list right now. So even if you don't even apply, even if you don't apply, you get instant access to our sales call formula course, which is awesome. And people are getting a ton of success from it. So if you want to join the wait list for the mastermind, creativrise.com. The 6-week mastermind starts March 2nd. Applications go live. Starts
go live March 2nd. We start March 16th.
We start March 16th.
Yeah.
So awesome.
It's going to be a blast, guys. We cannot wait to see all the applications roll in when the time comes. So right now, the wait list is just getting excited and asking questions and getting all this stuff figured out. And the price is $27.97. It's less than a whole full body camera setup, which is really important. And we've tried our best to keep it in that range to really make sure that it is a good sub for a lot of people thinking growing their businesses by buying more and better gear. And while your creative needs to be there to have a thriving 6-figure business, once it's there, which it's probably there if you're really honest, you're probably really good at that, the business side is exactly what you need to focus on. So cannot wait for that, guys. But anyways, we got a bunch of free resources listed in the description of this podcast, the pricing calculator, a bunch of other stuff, if you want to go check that out and get started on some stuff today, which is really cool. Hopefully this episode was so helpful for you. If it was, share it with a friend that you know needs to get better at pitching as well. And we cannot wait to see you guys next week.